Page 5 of 8, reading the PDF on MKUltra on the CIA website. The majority argued that a test for reliability that depends on the extent to which particular suits would call into question military discipline and decision-making would itself require judicial inquiry into, and hence intrusion upon, military matters. In dissent, Justice William Brennan argued that the need to preserve military discipline should not protect the government from liability and punishment for serious violations of constitutional rights. The medical trials at Nuremberg in 1947 deeply impressed upon the world that experimentation with unknowing human subjects is morally and legally unacceptable. The United States Military Tribunal established the Nuremberg Code as a standard against which to judge German scientists who experimented with human subjects. In defiance of this principle, military intelligence officials began surreptitiously testing chemical and biological materials, including LSD. Justice Sandra Day Conner, writing a separate dissent, stated, No judicially crafted rule should insulate from liability the involuntary and unknowing human experimentation alleged to have occurred in this case. Indeed, as Justice Brennan observes, the United States played an instrumental role in the criminal prosecution of Nazi officials who experimented with human subjects during the Second World War, and the standards that the Nuremberg military tribunals developed to judge the behavior of the defendants stated that the voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential to satisfy moral, ethical, and legal concepts. If this principle is violated, the very least that society can do is to see the victims are compensated as best as they can be by the perpetrators. This is the only Supreme Court case to address the application of the Nuremberg Code to experimentation sponsored by the U.S. government. And whilst the suit was unsuccessful, dissenting opinions put the Army, and by association the entire government, on notice that use of individuals without their consent is unacceptable. The limited application of the Nuremberg Code in U.S. courts does not detract from the power of the principles it espouses, especially in light of stories of failure to follow these principles that applied in the media and professional literature during the 1960s and 1970s, and the policies eventually adopted in the mid-1970s. In another lawsuit, Wayne Ritchie, a former United States Marshal, alleged the CIA laced his food or drink with LSD at a 1957 Christmas party. While the government admitted it was, at the time, drugging people without their consent, United States District Judge Marilyn Hall Patel found Ritchie could not prove he was one of the victims of MKUltra and dismissed the case in 2007. Extent of participation: 44 American colleges or universities, 15 research foundations or chemical or pharmaceutical companies, and the like, including Sandoz, currently Novartis, and Eli Lilly and Co., 12 hospitals or clinics, in addition to those associated with universities, and 3 prisons, are known to have participated in MKUltra. Notable subjects: a considerable amount of credible evidence suggests that Theodore Kaczynski, also known as the Unabomber, participated in CIA-sponsored MKUltra experiments conducted at Harvard University from the fall of 1957 through the spring of 1962. During World War II, Henry Murray, the lead researcher in the Harvard experiments, served with the Office of Strategic Services, which was a forerunner of the CIA. Murray applied for a grant funded by the United States Navy, and his Harvard stress experiments strongly resembled those run by the OSS. Beginning at the age of 16, Kaczynski participated along with 21 other undergraduate students in the Harvard experiments, which have been described as disturbing and ethically indefensible. Mary prankster Ken Kesey, author of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, volunteered for MKUltra experiments while he was a student at Stanford University. Kesey's ingestion of LSD during these experiments led directly to his widespread promotion of the drug and the subsequent development of hippie culture. Candy Jones, American fashion model and radio host, claimed to have been a victim of mind control in the 60s. Infamous Irish mob boss James Whitey Bulger volunteered for testing while in prison. Robert Hunter is an American lyricist, singer, songwriter, translator, and poet, best known for his association with Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead. Hunter was an early volunteer test subject for the MKUltra program. He was paid to take LSD, psilocybin, and mescaline and report on his experiences, which were creatively formative for him. Sit back, picture yourself swooping up a shell of purple with foam crests of crystal drops, soft nigh they fall, unto the sea of morning creep, very softly minced, and then sort of cascade, tinkly bell like. Must I take you by the hand, every so slowly type, and then conglomerate suddenly into a peerless silver, vibrant uncomprehendingly, blood singingly, joyously resounding bells. By my faith in this be insanity, then for the love of God, permit me to remain insane. McNally. 42-43. Incidents. Dr. Frank Olson commits suicide. Early on, 28th of November 1953, Frank Olson, a United States Army civilian biochemist and biological weapons researcher, jumped to his death from a hotel room in New York City after suffering a severe reaction to LSD that he consumed as part of a CIA-led research program on the intelligence applications of drugs and other behavioral modification techniques. The program, codenamed MKUltra, was disclosed in 1975 during Rockefeller's Commission and Church Committee investigations of dubious agency activities, and become one of the most notorious episodes publicized during CIA's time of troubles in the mid-1970s. Over the years, the revelations about Olson's death have generated many unfounded conspiracy tales that still circulate in publications and movies and on the internet.